How's it going, everybody? Good morning. Derek coming at you live from the outdoors, sitting on my back porch. Can't tell, but my roses are coming in. And it's a beautiful day, and I figured why not get outside? The birds are singing. You know, what's that song? It's a beautiful morning. Sorry, it's not, singing is not my day job. My day job is to wear a funny Uncle Sam hat and talk about the Yankees. So here we go. I got a couple of voicemails today, but not really enough to make a full show out of it. But I did want to address two of them that asked questions. And sorry, I can't play them. My computer's inside, and I figured I would just talk about them. So the first question I got was, do I think the Yankees are better in 2025 than they were in 2024? And that's something we talked about a lot all winter. And the second question I got was pretty easy, is do I think Judge can win the Triple Crown? Which I absolutely do. He came close in 2022, and last year he made a run at it. And right now he's obviously hitting for average. He's hitting 409 on the season. 409, isn't that another song? She's real fine, my 409. Isn't that not Beatles? Who is it? Monkeys? Beach Boys? I don't know. I might not even have that right. Anyway, so my cats are out here with me in the backyard, so you may see them make an appearance at some point. Okay, so let's get to the main crux of this episode. Are the Yankees better this year than they were last year? And, you know, pitching is so important that I find it hard to say yes without Gerrit Cole and right now without Luis Gil. But it's not about whether or not they're better right now on April 17th. It's about whether or not they're going to be better at the end of the season when they're playing in the postseason. And that's entirely dependent on a few other things. I mean, is Judge going to be hitting in the postseason? If Judge is hitting in the postseason, then absolutely they'll be better. Last year, it was pretty much all on Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton. And right now, neither one of them are a part of this lineup. And Giancarlo Stanton is another piece of this equation. What's he going to be like when he comes back? Will he be the guy who did so much damage in the postseason? You know, what's he going to be like with the torpedo bat? He said that he's going to use the torpedo bat when he comes back to the Yankees. And what happens to Ben Rice? You know, Ben Rice has been crucial to this team. You know, much needed power while Giancarlo's out. Can he keep it up? Looking at the lineup right now, I think the lineup is deeper than it was last year. I think the defense is definitely better. I know that Anthony Rizzo got a lot of praise for his defense over the years, but I just didn't really see it that much with the Yankees. I never felt like he was in his prime defensive capability state with the Yankees. I mean, he had already begun to decline a little bit. I mean, he was better than Luke Voigt or Mike Ford over there, but that's not really saying much. But Paul Goldschmidt, I mean, he made another great play last night. He's been picking the ball like crazy. I'm loving what we're seeing from him on both sides of the ball. I do want more home runs out of him, but I could live with a guy who just makes lots of contact, gets on base, and plays D. But it'd be nice to get 20, 25 home runs out of him as well. So let's just kind of go around the team, kind of like we did the last time we did one of these outdoor episodes, and see if we're better. At the catching position, last year it was Austin Wells as the primary catcher and Jose Trevino as the backup. This year it's Wells as the primary and JC Escarra as the backup. Wells, to me, looks better. Even though the numbers aren't great so far, he's hit into some really bad luck. He's had some home runs knocked down by wind. Last night he had a double stolen. And at this point of the season, when you have so few at-bats, a couple of hits, one way or the other, can make a real difference in the numbers. You know, we saw that with Dominguez the other day. He came in hitting 229, he goes 3 for 3, and he's hitting 275. You know, the numbers can change quickly this time of year. So you kind of got to go a little bit on the eye test, maybe look a little bit at the metrics and see what guys are doing. But right now, I think Austin Wells is vastly improved from last year. I think he's going to probably hit close to 20 home runs, if not more. I don't care too much about his average because he's such a good defender and, he does it into bad luck. But, maybe 250. I think the on-base percentage is going to go up this year. And he does a great job behind the dish. So I think we're better at catcher. And the backup, J.C. Escarra, honestly, I'll take him over Trevino. I know Trevino's a good defensive player, but Escarra also seems great on defense, and I like his bat better. I think it will play better in Yankee Stadium. A lefty, he'll probably run into a couple of home runs. At first base, there's no question. Paul Goldschmidt so far looks great. But that brings me to, what is he going to look like in September? At 37, I've been there, right? That heat wears on you. You get deep into the year, you get a little bit tired. Now, obviously, he's a professional athlete. He should be prepared to last a full season without, any serious detriment to his skills. I still want to see it, but I like where we're at. I think he's better than Rizzo, but Rizzo got off to a decent start. Hey, kitty. Psst. Told you, my cats are going to be out here bothering us today. At second base, you look at what Gleyber Torres did last year. He didn't really hit for any power for most of the season. The average got going a little bit later in the year. Jazz Chisholm puts up huge power numbers so far. Defensively, he's looked fine. He's got more range. He's got more speed. Last night he scored from first on that double. I don't know that Gleyber Torres does that. Gleyber Torres was not fast. And he made a lot of mistakes, a lot of outs on the bases that I don't think Jazz Chisholm is going to make just because he's going to be able to overcome some of those things with his speed. So I think we're better at second base, right? Right now the numbers will tell you that Volpe's a better player than he was last year or the year before at shortstop. He's getting better. Is he the player that a lot of us dreamed he could be? Not yet. Not yet. But he's not bad. He's obviously got some pop. Last night, a big booming double. Night before that, a walk and a single. He's done okay. I'm tired of the Volpe hate. And listen, I will criticize his performance when it's due. And more importantly, I'll criticize the approach because I think his approach could be different. And I don't think his player archetype is somebody who hits home runs. I had somebody yesterday say, how dare you compare him to Dustin Pedroia? Dustin Pedroia was an MVP, a batting champion, yada, yada, yada. I wasn't comparing them as actual statistical models of one another. I was comparing the player archetype, both kind of littler guys, stocky middle infielders. Volpe's been great defensively. That counts for something. I'm going to call shortstop right now undecided, a push. I want to see what he does over the course of the full season. It's too early for me to make that determination as to whether or not we're better at shortstop. But just recognizing that he's still getting better as a player, he's still young, I think there's potential that he could be better in October than he was last October, even though he was pretty good in October last year. Third base, how are we looking at the platoon? Well, Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza, both getting a little bit of playing time. Nobody's really seized that role. It's really hard to say. The bulk of the playing time last year, I'd say went to what? Went to Oswaldo. I don't even remember who played third base during the World Series right now. My brain is drawing a blank. But I think third base is a spot where the Yankees need to get better. I know a lot of people wanted Arenado. I'm still not on board the Arenado train. I thought Bregman would have been a nice pickup, but I get the baggage. I get it. I'm just glad we don't have to deal with Chase Headley anymore. Those days are gone. Left field, Dominguez, I think is a better player than Verdugo. Offensively, struggling from the right side, but had his first big hit as a righty the other day. Left-handed, much better. He's going to hit for more power. He's going to, steal more bags. Defensively, he's not as good as Verdugo yet, but he's shown improvement. He's gotten better. Center field last year was Judge. This year, it's mostly Bellinger. That's a step backwards. But Bellinger is not a huge step back. Bellinger's going to be a good player. He's off to a slow start. Last night, he made that great catch in right field when he slid over at the end of the game. And look, he is going to be a guy that that gets better as the year goes along, I think. You know, he had the food poisoning, got off to a little bit of a rough start, but the athleticism is there. And honestly, I think this could be a week where he really breaks out and comes into his own as a Yankee down there in Tampa at George M. Steinbrenner Field, where he had such a big spring. And in right field, Judge is better than Juan Soto. I mean, we've had a few calls like, hey, can you compare Judge's stats with Soto's stats? Not yet. We're only a couple weeks into the season. Not yet. When we get maybe 2 months into the season, you know, let's say 50 games, then we'll start looking at it. But I did see this morning, I just casually checked, and Juan Soto's hitting .231. He's got 3 home runs. Judge, of course, hitting .409. But that can change quickly, like I said, with stats this time of year. And at DH right now, you know, you look at what Giancarlo Stanton did in the playoffs, and he was extremely dangerous. But Ben Rice is also dangerous, okay? Ben Rice will strike out a lot, but so did Giancarlo. Ben Rice hits righties, I think, better than Giancarlo did. Giancarlo hits lefties better than Ben Rice did. I'm going to call the DH spot a push right now, which is saying something because Ben Rice makes about $26 million less than Giancarlo Stanton. All right, before we get to the pitching, quick word from our sponsor, Harry's. In sports, the difference between winning and losing is often razor thin, and it's great to have an edge. And that's what you get with Harry's Razors, the sponsor for today's episode. You might notice my beard is gone. I did that because I wanted to test out this razor that they sent me. I don't like to pitch things unless I try them myself. And I gotta say, I am very impressed with Harry's Razors. It comes with 5 blades. These are German engineered. They are extremely, extremely sharp. I shaved 2 days ago and my face still feels very smooth. I got the trial set. I really enjoy the weighted handle. It gives me like a nice feeling of control over the razor. I don't have to worry about cutting myself. Their trial set is $13, but using our exclusive link and code, you can get it for just $3. Go to harrys.com/stripe and you can get this trial set for $3 instead of $13. harrys.com/stripe. And we're back. Okay, so let's go through the pitching. Obviously losing Gerrit Cole, I mean, you can't make up for that. I mean, was he at his best last year? No. He struggled to come back from that elbow injury. He had some up and down starts. And then in the playoffs, he wasn't giving us a consistent 6 or 7 innings like he typically has throughout his Yankees career. But still, it hurts to have him gone. Max Fried is the new top of the rotation guy. Is Max Fried, this version of Max Fried, better than last year's version of Gerrit Cole? I think that's an interesting question to ask. So far, looks great. I think that's an undecided. We'll see. Carlos Rodon, so far, has taken a step back, but I think there is room for him to get better because he has made a lot of changes to how he pitches. He's thrown a lot more sinkers. He's thrown a lot more curveballs. The pitch mix, I think, will help him have more success as the year goes along. Now, does that mean he's going to have a better year than he had last year? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But I like at least that he's trying something different because you can't keep pounding hard stuff year in, year out. Eventually it catches up to you. Caught up with CC. You know, we saw him, you know, have to reinvent himself as a pitcher. It's good to see Rodon at least making that adjustment a bit early as we, you know, dive into the season here. I think he will get better. But right now my confidence in him is a little shaken. Stroman, whatever. I hope he retires. And then we've got Clark Schmidt, you know, elevated to the number 3 spot in the rotation. Last night he was good. I think he's going to be about like he was last year, maybe a little bit better. Last year, obviously, he had the lat strain that kept him out for a while. And, you know, that obviously hurt his progress. This year, he started a little bit clunky in spring training. We'll see how his health stands up. But I liked what we saw last night. The curveball was sharp. I mean, he's very confident. And then we got Will Warren, who is 1-0 with 5.14 ERA, if my memory serves correct. He's starting tonight in Tampa. Unfinished product. He's a guy who we might see, take that next step forward at some point. But right now, would he factor into the playoffs? Would you feel comfortable with him against, say, the Texas Rangers or the Cleveland Guardians or the Boston Red Sox or the Toronto Blue Jays? I don't think you would. I think the Yankees need to get a pitcher there. And then you look at the back of the rotation, Carlos Carrasco. He wouldn't factor into the postseason anyway, most likely. I can't imagine him lasting a full season. Last year he was 3-10, ERA over 5. Yeah, I'm not gonna factor him in. I think the Yankees, if they get one more starting pitcher and maybe one more bat for third base, they're clearly better than last year. But still got to talk about the bullpen. Devin Williams has pitched better recently. I want to see how he does in big spots, in big games. Let's find out what he's really made of. And then Luke Weaver obviously took a major step last year. His velocity has been down so far, but it has not affected his ability to get guys out. So, you have to call that right now a push. Tim Hill has done a nice job. A full year of Tim Hill should be fine. He's getting tons of ground balls. Jonathan Loaizaga coming back. We'll see what he looks like, but I've seen some of his side sessions and the ride on the fastball seems there. If he comes back and he's effective, that could be a huge addition to the bullpen. Ian Hamilton, they're kind of slow walking him, but I see no reason to think he's going to take a step back. So right now, as we look at whether or not this team is better or worse, it's hard to say. I think it's close, and I don't think I don't think we have a much clearer picture than we had this winter when we were talking about this. But right now, I'm optimistic. I think they can win the division. They are on pace for 99 wins. They're 11-7. They're in first place. Got to keep it up. Got to go to Tampa and win the games in your division. And Tampa always plays the Yankees tough, but I feel like the Yankees don't like playing in the Trop. And one thing about the Trop is that a lot of times Aaron Judge gets time off when they're playing in the Trop because they want to keep him off of his feet. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think they're going to continue to DH him a little bit more. But I think he's going to play in all 4 games of this series. It's on grass. It's at a stadium where he's used to playing in spring training. So, got to win these games. Well, that's it for this morning. Sorry that we changed the pattern on you. Hey, there goes a cat in the background. But just wanted to come out and get some sunshine before I start my work day. Maybe intake a little vitamin D. Go ahead and drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, call into the voicemail. We're going to take some more calls tonight on the post-game show. The number is 718-899-1068. There is a big pile of dog shit that I forgot to pick up. I got to go get it. So I'm going to call it a morning. I'm going to go make myself some oatmeal and enjoy the rest of my bottle of water. Maybe have another cup of coffee. Like that Bob Dylan song, one more cup of coffee before I go. I'm singing way too much on this podcast. So this concludes our broadcast day. Click.